Well, I, for one, did not see that coming, and there's Matsumoto's genius as a writer for you. Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are going to be taking a spoiler-free look at Kaiju number 8, chapter 115. This chapter brings in a whole bunch of elements from previous chapters that we haven't seen in a while, and pulls off something that I did not see coming, and it looks like a lot of people were surprised by, but that in retrospect is perfectly obvious. It is the single most classic Shonen Jump trope, a pack of Shonen Jump tropes, all on top of each other. And I should have seen them coming, but I didn't. Now, I do think that's a testament to Matsumoto's skill, but hey, it also might just be me being a bit dense. Now, if you don't want to listen any further for risk, this is going to be spoiler free, but you can go check out the link below the video. I have just released the pre-order link for my next book campaign, Hidden Fires, Dragons, Aliens, and Things That Go Boom, 85,000 words of science fantasy adventure set in the Dying Embers universe. The link to pre-order your copy is there. If you pre-order, you will get yourself also a copy of Dying Embers and Flying Sparks, the other two books in the series. Alright, Kaiju number 8. We are in the middle of a massive fight. Mina's just lost her weapon. Kaiju number 8's been taken out. We are reminded that once again, Mina is a glass cannon. That's what we were forcibly reminded of last chapter. Yeah, when she has her weapons, she's super powerful, but when it gets down to melee combat, she's just not all that. And so this is a situation she finds herself in. Now, in this chapter, Matsumoto addresses that situation, as he must. But he addresses it by pulling one of his classic corkscrew plot twists. What I mean by that is, again, this is a Shonen Jump manga. We know where it's going ultimately. We know that our main characters have plot armor. Although I was beginning to doubt that at the end of the last chapter. But Matsumoto, by careful sleight of hand, manages to keep our attention on one thing while he brings in the more obvious thing from the other side. If you've ever seen a magician explaining his magic tricks, they talk about how they have like flashy colored handkerchiefs and they fling them in the air. Their goal is to get the audience's attention on one point, to get their eyes on one point, and then to get their hands on the other point, or the magician's hands doing something else. That way, while your eyes are on the pencil, they're flicking the coin between their fingers, and because your eyes are on the pencil, you don't see the coin moving. If they want you looking at point A, they put something flashing and attractive on point A, but they're actually doing the important stuff at point B. For the past several chapters, Matsumoto has had our attention focused on a very narrow scope of people. And we kind of forgot that there's the rest of the Defense Force officers out there. And then Matsumoto brings all that together and temporarily resolves the situation. Now, there's something I want to say. It was obvious last chapter, and the chapter before that, and the chapter before that, so it's not a spoiler. But Matsumoto has set this up as this cannot be a full victory for the Defense Force. Even if they kill every single kaiju out on the field right now, we are obviously not looking at the main body of the 1657 kaiju right now. Kaiju number 9, who turns out to be, from last chapter, much younger than we thought, not associated with that battle 400 years ago, but just a more modern being trapped by this kaiju, knows where that kaiju is, and kaiju number 9 probably could be a lot of help if he wanted to, if he considered it worth his while. But ultimately, that giant kaiju is still underground, somewhere in Japan, possibly under the entire island, possibly in a localized area. The Defense Force doesn't know, and if this is functioning as a mushroom, as the fungus does, it might not even be concentrated in one body. It might be distributed throughout the surface of the entire island. So again, even if the Defense Force destroys the current remnant of Kaiju number 9's body that's being controlled by this mindless beast, even if they get the city repaired and back on its feet, that thing is still out there. That giant kaiju that has existed for hundreds of years has the capacity to take over and control other kaiju. Without the control of kaiju number 9 is going to be just a mindless beast wielding that powers. So here we have our Defense Force officers, the ones we've come to care about. They're all here battling, and no matter what happens in this chapter, no matter what happens in the next few chapters, there is no rock-solid victory they're pulling out of this. They're pulling out of this, at best, survival, and going off to lick their wounds while they prepare for the next manifestation of this giant kaiju. There was one other thing, and again, this did show up minorly in this chapter, but it also showed up in multiple previous chapters, so it's not a spoiler. So when we saw in previous chapters little baby kaiju number 9 go down and face off with when he was kind of like summoned to the presence of the underground kaiju, you saw all of those eyeballs, all of them pointing in every direction. Now, as long as we've seen kaiju number 9, and he's had multiple different numbers of eyes, they've always worked in unison. They expressed his aim. That is why psychologists believe that is why humans have irises and the whites of our eyes show. It allows other humans to see what we are intending to do, because we are an aiming species. We have forward-facing eyes. When we have a goal, the eyes are locked on that goal. So long from chapters 1 through chapter, 113 was it that Kaiju number 9 took that final blow? Kaiju number 9's eyes were always, when we could see them, focused on one direction. They were always forward-facing. But now, after Kaiju number 9's mind lost control of the body, there's many more eyes, and they're all focusing in multiple directions. This is one of those little details, and this, of course, that represents that this was a creature with a goal, with a focus that we could predict. Now, it's entirely unfocused and unpredictable. And this is one of those fascinating little scientific, psychological details that lets me know that Matsumoto, he really is quite the Renaissance man. He has a wide range of knowledge of the sciences and humanities, and I'm here for it. But what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Did this chapter get your blood pounding? Do you think that there's any way that we are going to see the giant underground kaiju destroyed in the next few chapters, or is this going to be a 200-chapter arc as they identify this, process that information? Because the Defense Force's main weapon has always been information, knowledge. And suddenly they find themselves completely disarmed because they have no idea what that thing is, no idea how it's going to react. But what do you think, my wonderful viewers? What do you think that the Defense Force is going to be able to pull off anything resembling a victory from this fight? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers.
Author Betty Adams once more brings a world of alien invasion alive in 85,000 words of science fantasy adventure. When his sister finds herself stranded in a hostile city, Drake McCarty must leave the relative safety of his wilderness home and his 2 young charges to rescue her. The mysterious alien bard accompanies him as whispers of ancient enemies drift down from the stars. Drake can feel his bond with this ancient warrior growing every hour. But will it be strong enough to withstand the revelations that await them in the crowded city? Or will it shatter under Drake's own weakness? Find out in Hidden Fires, the second book set in the Dying Embers universe. Dragons watch from the mountains, aliens creep between stars, and things go boom in the night.
Escape into another world with the writings of author Betty Adams. 2 worlds, one of utter absurdity, one of dramatic tension, both alike in aliens absolutely astounded by human behavior. Humans are weird, short, absurd science fiction stories. Flying sparks, dragons, aliens, and things that go boom in the night.
Books available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play Books, and at authorBettyAdams.com for a signed copy.